Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Carnivores Anonymous online meeting. My name is Lisa Levinson, and I'll be your host for today. And this program is from In Defense of Animals. We produce this show every month so that we can inspire people who are interested in going vegan with wonderful speakers and also to help provide support along the way. So today we have some great speakers, and I'm going to introduce them in just a moment. Thanks so much to everybody for tuning in. This also happens to be our Activist Appreciation Month. So if you're familiar with that and you'd like to, or if you'd like to hear more, the website for that is idausa.org/activist month. And this is one of the programs we're having, but there's many others, so you can check out that link. So here, let me introduce you to our special speakers today. So vegan entrepreneurs and athletes Josianne LaRose and Alex Gravelle share their vegan stories today with us, and they're going to offer fitness tips as well that they learned along their way. And this is our special meeting that we host for Carnivores Anonymous, which is actually a 12-step program to help people transition to a vegan lifestyle. Their mission is to inspire others to live a happy and fulfilling life through compassion for themselves, for others, and for all beings. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to them. And if you'd like to check them out on the social media, you can find Josianne on her Instagram at Josianne LaRose. And their handle on Facebook is Alex Jaws EROPRO. So I'll be sure to put those links in the news feed here and also in the webinar, so you can check them out too. So hi, how are you guys doing today, Josianne and Alex?
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
We're doing good. How are you?
I'm wonderful to have you today on the program. And you know, I was really excited to learn that they're actually in Quebec right now, which is wonderful, very exciting to me because I'm in California. So it's nice to be all the way across the country and across a different actual nations. Yeah. So we're really excited to hear about your vegan story. I know that you're entrepreneurs and that you're athletes, and but you probably didn't start out that way.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, today we really wanted to share with you our vegan story, which is actually really intertwined with our athlete journey.
Great. Well, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you tell us all about that so we can hear you and get all the details.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We're really excited to be here today. Well, before we start, I just wanted to congratulate Lisa for everything she's doing and for the animals and for people and helping everyone who's transitioning to the vegan lifestyle. It's quite a journey to be on, and it's very inspiring when people take the lead like you're doing and are helping others on their own journey. So thank you so much for that. So coming back to our story, like I mentioned, our story is really, well, our vegan story is really linked to our athlete story. So we decided to really focus on that today in the hope to inspire you to follow the reason why you want to become vegan. So for us, it was really related to being healthy and active. And we hope that it either resonates with you if you're active and you want to be healthier and fitter, or if you can find that reason for you, what it means to become vegan and to hold on to it and to live that journey to, to keep living it. So our story actually began before Alex and I met when we were younger. So before our teenage years and during my teenage years, we were both actually very into sports and running. So I played volleyball, soccer, hockey. Actually, I didn't play soccer.
I played soccer.
Yeah, I was thinking for him. So I played volleyball, basketball, and hockey. And I used to love running as well as a teenager. So for me, it always has been about playing sports, but I wasn't really into fitness and I didn't know much about nutrition.
Yeah, and for me, well, I started playing soccer at 6 years old. And throughout my years growing up, I played volleyball, I played badminton, and I just always kept myself active. And it's only in high school when we had one of the physical activity course where they really taught us how to run. And I just fell in love with running. And from that moment on, yeah, I loved running.
Yeah, and you also did a few races, right?
That's true. Yeah, I did a couple races too, and it's when in 2012. So I ran pretty much my whole life up until 2012, which was maybe 9 years ago. Yeah, about 8-9 years ago. I started to have some knee injuries while I was doing some half marathons, and it's at that time when I decided to just stop running for a bit.
And after that, in 2013, that's when we met. So when we met, we still liked running, but we both stopped running because of our life situation. I was in university, I was still playing hockey, but not running. And we were both into partying. So we would spend, a lot of time socializing over drinks and dancing, and that's how we connected at first. And for us, we still had in the back of our heads like fitness and sports, but we were really more into partying. So in the fall of that year, in 2013, while I was playing hockey, I actually got a concussion. So that was really a moment that changed my life, because after that, the symptoms of that concussion followed me because of the lifestyle that I was leading. I wasn't able to recover properly. So for 2 years, I had symptoms like sensitivity to light, to sounds. I became anxious very easily. I got tired easily. I had headaches. So imagine living with that for 2 years. We still, during that time, tried to do sports, exercise, and run together. But it wasn't working for me. I would still get the symptoms and they would get worse. So what happened was that after 2 years of living with those symptoms, I decided to see a neurologist, which told me that I was part of the 15% of people who live with what we call post-concussion syndrome. So basically, I could have the symptoms for a few months after my concussion and have that syndrome, or it could be something that would last for the rest of my life. So when I learned that, I was a bit, shocked, and I really wanted to improve and do something about it because I didn't want to live like that for the rest of my life. So I asked the neurologist, what could I do? And there were really two options. The first one was to take medication, which we weren't really sure if it was going to help me or not. They didn't know if it was really connected to what was going on with me personally. So I decided not to go down that route just because it was too much uncertainty and side effects, and it just didn't resonate for me at that time. So the second option she mentioned was to make some changes in my lifestyle. So from sleep to exercising and nutrition, she said if I could balance those out and make some tweaks here and there, maybe it could help. So that's when the lights went on in my head, and I said, okay, I gotta do something about that. So then I reduced the amount of time I spent partying and staying up late. I started exercising daily, doing fitness programs, and really getting stronger and better at, just doing physical activity the proper way. So my whole life, it was all about running and doing sports, but I never did the fitness side of things to increase my strength and to, have better flexibility and all of that. But at that time, I was vegetarian. So I asked myself, well, what could I do to my nutrition so that it would be something that could be healthier? And at that time, one of my friends was vegan, and she really inspired me because she really looked healthy and happy. And she was following mainly a whole foods plant-based diet. So I told myself, well, potentially that's what I have to do too. And because I was a vegetarian and because I had explored the idea before, it wasn't too hard for me to make the decision. But I still didn't know what to do. I had no idea. No one around me other than my friend was vegan, and I didn't want to call her every night asking her, what should I be eating for dinner? So it started that way. So it started with my diet. And I started searching for recipes. I use Pinterest every single day to find out how can I make a cake, because I don't know how to make cake without eggs or dairy. And so it became a journey of discovery and having fun in the kitchen, discovering new recipes and new things that I could try.
Yeah, and like for me it was easier to transition because Josianne she started being vegan in early 2017.
Yeah, in January 2017.
Yeah, in January 2015, she became vegan. So
17.
17,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so in 2017, early January, she became vegan. And for me, it was easy to transition to that because, well, at home, we were always cooking vegan. But for sure, for me at the beginning, I would still eat some occasional meat when we'd go to the restaurant or visiting family and friends. And
yeah, so during that year of 2017, a lot of things were changing in our life. And I was really noticing a huge change in my health, like within a few months. For me personally, after a few months of exercising, sleeping better, and following that plant-based diet, my symptoms were almost all gone, which was crazy to me to think that it took me 2 years to, reduce them. And then only in 2 months, they were almost gone. So
magic.
He was still playing soccer at that time, and I would go watch him play. And he was playing in a field that's in a dome, and there was a track around that field. So every time I would watch him play, I would also see people running, and I really felt like I wanted to start running again. But I had feared to start again because I wasn't able to do that after the concussion without my symptoms going crazy. So we tried in July 2017. We ran for the first time again together, and it felt really good. For the first time in like 3 years, I had no headaches. I wasn't really tired. So we just started increasing our kilometers, and we continued to, improve our lifestyle and reduce the amount of partying and drinking. It's been actually a year now that we're completely sober. So we really changed our lifestyle in that sense. And I also want to say that while I was doing all the research about recipes and, how can I make a cake without eggs, that's when I discovered like veganism as a whole lifestyle, not just the diet. And to me, it was very interesting because as I was developing compassion for myself, taking care of my body and listening to it for the first time in like so long, because even after my concussion, the fact that I wasn't compassionate with myself is what led me to keep following that lifestyle that was not sustainable and that was hurting me in the long run. So by developing that compassion for myself, I started developing compassion for other people, but also other beings, and reading all about the vegan lifestyle and, what goes into our products in the products in our society and how animals are involved in things that we had no idea. There were so many things that I didn't know were made with animals, or how animals were used for testing. And there were things that there are some things like, let's say, leather, we know it comes from animals, but there are things that we had no idea. And because I became vegan, first of all, for my diet, that's when I started discovering that, okay, well, there's a lot other things that are not vegan that I thought were. So it was very interesting to discover that as well, and to start being more conscious about our choices. And it just all came together in our lifestyle. And so after our first runs in 2017, we decided to sign up for our first 5K race together. So my first race like as a teenager, I was running for fun. I enjoyed running. It was like meditation for me, time for myself. But in 2018, in May, we did our first 5K, and I really enjoyed it. You know, starting a race and then crossing that finish line, and with all the people around us, it was really great. So that's when I fell in love with racing. And since then, it has been like a challenge for myself to see, well, what more can I do? I wasn't able to run after my concussion, and now I'm able to do a 5K. Well, what more can I do? So we kept training. We kept, researching how we can eat healthier on a whole foods plant-based diet. And we trained for 10Ks and then half marathon. And then Alex signed us up for
marathon. Yeah. 42 kilometers.
Yeah. So after a year after doing our first 5K together, we did our first marathon, which to me sounds crazy, because I went from, like I said, not running much to running a marathon. And what was interesting in that is that throughout that year of training for the marathon, we did other races, so 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons. And what was really interesting was that every time we did the same distance, so a 5K or a 10K, our times were getting better and better and better, and it just kept getting better. And it just, to us, it really feels like, because our diet is whole foods plant-based, we recover really fast. Our muscles, they're stronger. We have so much more energy, and we just, I don't know, it just feels like we can keep increasing and improving our performance again and again and again.
Yeah, like last year in 2019, I was faster than my 21-year-old self, and now I'm 29 right now, going on 30 in October. I was faster than my 21st-year-old self, and that's just eating plant-based food. And like my knee pain went away. Like I don't have knee pains anymore, like completely gone. And I also do meditation a lot, and that's kind of where we didn't actually say it, but in 1 year before her first race, that's in August 2017, that's when I became fully vegan. I went to a 10-day Vipassana meditation course in Montebello, Quebec. There's centers around the world. It's a very ancient Indian meditation technique. So over there, you have mostly vegan meals. So it was a good transition for me to just go there, do the course, and then continue on with the vegan nutrition afterwards. So for me, yeah, that was a big plus. If one thing I can leave you with, or give you a tip, is if you want to make the change, just do a 10-day meditation course, and you're halfway there, because it takes 3 weeks to build a habit. And if you're 10 days in, then it's perfect. You just continue on with the habit. And for me, that's how it workt for me. That's how
Yeah. And do you want to tell everyone what your last
my last meal was 3 junior chickens. But when going there, I ate 3 junior chickens, and I said, that's it, I'm done.
Yeah. And
it's been 2 years since I'm fully vegan, and never looked back. I feel amazing, super energized.
Yeah.
Super happy.
Yeah.
And before for me, being vegan was mostly related to health reasons. That's why I made the change. But as I continue on, as the years and months past being vegan, I started to have more compassion for the environment and for animals. So it kind of grew to all that. So it's like a little plant that became a huge tree. Like now it's the whole holistic approach of being vegan then.
Yes. And it's always a journey. I mean, it's a journey you're always on. It's been for us a process, and we're still, going through it. And I'm not sure, I don't think I mentioned that yet, but I was telling you before, it's like I forget what I was saying. Because it's a journey that you're always on. So for us right now, we want to improve our diet still, even if we're vegan, or we want to be more conscious about different products that we use and, you know, reduce. Oh yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. So because we don't live in a society that is yet 100% vegan, I find it's hard to put that pressure on ourselves to be perfect vegans. So for me, when I became a vegan, I really felt like I had to be perfect. I felt like, oh, if I do a mistake, then I'm not a real vegan. And that put a lot of pressure on me, and it made me, you know, question everything I was doing, what I was buying, and becoming a bit obsessive about everything. And I find that because we're in a society where right now it's not 100% vegan, then we will never be perfectly vegan until the time where everything is vegan. Like what I mean is like, are you going to start asking like, what is my car made of to make sure it's vegan? So it's more the idea that we have to be compassionate with ourselves as well, and accept that as long as the society is not 100% vegan, then it's okay if we're not perfectly vegan, and that we don't know everything, and that we don't feel like we need to question everything that is around us. As long as we're doing small changes every day, and that we're being more aware, and, you know, spreading the message and helping other people become aware, then that's what's really important. And that, you know, we're doing it from a place of compassion as well for ourselves and others and all beings. Because it can become really stressful otherwise. And yeah, that's been our journey. And just to give you an idea, when we did our first 3-kilometer run together, the first time we ran together, it took us like about 25 minutes to do that. And now my last 5K race that I did, I ran it in 22 minutes and 40 seconds, I think. So that's within 2 years. And I couldn't run. For the longest time when we tried running together, I would cry or scream because it wasn't working. So it just goes to show how powerful it is when you fuel your body with nutrients that are dense and that come from plants, and that you become more aware of what you consume and how you consume it.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to set goals, high goals that are impossible, because that's what drives you.
Yeah, like for us, it was running, right? So for us, it was important to do something that we enjoyed and to be healthy to do that. But if for you it's something else, then hold on to that and find, like we say, find your why. Really find the reason why it's important for you to do it. Is it because of your health? Do you have a condition you want to improve? Is it because, you know, you really love animals? Like there's so many reasons why you can be doing this. But as long as you find what it is for you, then it'll be easier to it's never easy, but it'll be a better way for you to commit and to stay committed. Mm-hmm. Because there will be days where it'll be just easier to say, well, you know what, I don't want to argue with people. I don't want to say no. I don't want to, stand ground. And then you can give in and stop what you're doing. But if you're really committed to what it is that you want to do and you're doing it for yourself, and it's not selfish, I think it's if you're doing it for yourself for the right reasons, then that's what's going to help you keep going.
Empower yourself so you can empower others.
Exactly. And so, yeah, that's been our journey. We really enjoyed it so far. And in terms of other tips that I can give you, I guess start where you are. Mm-hmm. We all start somewhere different. We all have different environments. And for fitness or nutrition, actually, it's more like look at what you're eating right now and what is the one thing that you can change. So one thing that you could implement right now. Like for me, when I was vegetarian, or before I was vegetarian, what I did is I reduced the amount of red meat first. So for me, that was the way I started. Then I reduced poultry, and then I reduced fish, and then I completely eliminated meat. And then it came down to the point where I was just eating eggs and dairy. So eggs and cheese. And then at the end of it, it was like, well, I everything else is gone. So why am I still eating eggs and cheese? And then it was easier for me to transition. So as long as you're doing a change, a small one or a big one every single day, then after a year or a few months, then it'll be a big change. And, you know, your lifestyle is something that is going to be with you your whole life. So even if it takes you a day or a month or a year, it doesn't really matter how long it takes you to make the change. But once it's done, if you've done it the right way and that you really committed to it, then it becomes your lifestyle, and it's something that's going to follow you for the rest of your life. So it's worth taking the time to consider how you want to approach it, and, you know, why you want to do it, so that it becomes really something that's part of you and not something that's forced upon you. So
Plant powered.
yeah. So I don't know if oh, I see. I think
Wonderful. Oh gosh, thank you so much to both of you for sharing your vegan story with us. This is amazing. We actually have a question already. We've got someone was asking where you're from. So I happen to know, but why don't you share?
Yeah, sure. So we're from Quebec in Canada. So we live in Eastern Quebec, and right now there's quite some snow here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, this is such a delight to have you share, and I really appreciate the way you talked about some of the struggles that you experienced along the way, and also the pace of how you became vegan. It may not have been overnight. It actually was a journey, the way you described. So thank you for telling us that, because I'm sure it's helpful for some people who have a process. It's more of a journey. It may not happen overnight, and just to be accepting of that. Yeah. Now we do have a question for you. Someone was asking, how do your families feel about this, that you went vegan? Was that a challenge to overcome?
Do you want to go first, or you want me to go?
Yeah, I can go first.
Okay.
Well, for sure there was resistance, but as you have the conversation with them, they realize that it's important for us, so they slowly started to make some vegan recipes for us, and now every time we go see them, and she cooks, my mother cooks vegan food for us now. Yeah, so like super good food, like any meals you can think of, she makes them vegan.
Yeah, and my answer to that would be that you know, it's about informing people. So at first, like he said, there was a bit of a resistance, but I think that's with anything that is unknown to people. Like anything that is new to someone, everyone has a bit of resistance. So we saw it as our role to educate people and tell them why we're doing this, and I guess educate our families about it and share recipes. So say, well, you know what, I like this recipe. Why don't you try making it when we come, or we can bring our food. And it's been surprising. Well, my sister was already vegetarian as well, so that helped. But now my other sister is vegetarian also. And we had a vegan Christmas dinner with everyone. So it's been a huge shift within those 2-3 years. At first, you know, we would bring our own food and they would add it to the meals. But now, you know, everyone is so curious about, okay, well, what could we make that could be fun? So everyone's eating vegan, or most of the time. But I find it's about inspiring your family and, you know, standing your ground with, okay, this is a choice I made for myself, for me. And, you know, I want you to respect that. So because they respect you, they will, you know, make an effort. And you have to also respect them in return, because they don't know what they don't know. So it's your role to tell them, why are you doing this? Why is it important? And to say it in a respectful way, so that they feel that they're respected and that they want to respect you as well. And that's how I think it worked for us, that, you know, everyone was happy after that to make vegan meals for us. And there's no question about why, or, you know, how do you do it, because we've been so open about it.
And it's as good. You can make good vegan food that's even tastier than food with meat or dairy products.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, that's fantastic that your families are so supportive, and it sounded like you guys adapted even within the athletic community. So I'm curious, how did other people respond to you as vegans in these races?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, I think some people are impressed. Well, I don't know if they know necessarily that we're vegan when we're racing, but as an example, this week we were training. Well, we didn't mention that, but now we're training for triathlons.
Yeah.
So as I was swimming, we do these little competitions with other people in our triathlon club. And one of the guys was telling me, "You're a machine," because I was able to catch because I was able to catch up someone who was swimming further in front of me. So I think people are noticing that our performance is getting better and better all the time, and that we recover really quickly. I think that's one of the things that people notice. And when people ask, well, what did you do? How did you do it? It's most of the time, well, we take care of our bodies. We eat plant-based, and we stop drinking. I think that really helps, but the plant-based diet really helps recover really quickly. So we have that kind of advantage against people who are not necessarily eating the same way.
Great. So you had two things that happened simultaneously, which really relates to our Carnivores Anonymous. It's sort of modeled after Alcoholics Anonymous, and here you are. You're sober and you're vegan. You've done it all. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And I find it's interesting that your approach is like that, because for us, it's been the way we changed those habits. It has always been about changing the habit and committing to why we're doing it and how we want to approach it. And we did it in a very similar fashion for both of the journeys, for vegan and alcohol. So it's all about, I think, changing the habits, because once you do that, then it becomes second nature, and it becomes like you've never had meat or dairy or alcohol in your life.
Yeah.
That's great. So you're not missing anything. It's as if here you are. You're suddenly this high performance machines.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, we're actually productive during our weekends.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it's excellent. So great to hear the people's responses to you. Now, I have a suggestion. Some people may not know you're vegan, but I know a lot of vegans who wear vegan t-shirts. That might be something you could do when you're racing, because then people would know, oh, there go the vegans, because you'll have a vegan t-shirt. So it might be something to invest in just for fun. And then people can ask you a question or two, like, gosh, I can't believe you made it in that time and you're vegan. How do you do it?
that's a good suggestion.
That's a really good idea. We should team vegan.
Yeah, I think there is something called Team Vegan out there. So yeah, you could look that up, Team Vegan. I think there's even Team Vegan on Facebook or something like that. But you're in it already. You're in the team. So that is so wonderful and very inspiring to hear your journey. And also that, Josianne, you had some very serious health conditions with a concussion, and being able to overcome that. What did your doctor say? Did anyone say anything to you about your recovery, since it seems like you've really fully recovered?
Well, well, not really, because it was a neurologist that I had consulted with. And it was like a one-time meeting, because it was so hard to even get that meeting with her. And there weren't really any follow-ups necessary, because I was feeling better. So in that sense, no one really said much about it, but I think it would be a great idea to share the information, because I was very impressed by the fact that, she mentioned that, and I thought I was leading a healthy lifestyle, but then considering it, I wasn't. And I was responsible for my condition in a way that, I never let myself recover. So it has just been so interesting to learn that our body can do so much when you do so much for it. And yeah, I'm very, for me personally, I'm impressed by how things turned out to that way.
Well, it's because you decided to take action.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would go to that same neurologist, get the same information, but wouldn't have any results. But you took action from that information.
True.
And that's what brought you here.
Yeah, and I find that my reason why, like, I love sports, but for me right now, my motivation is really to see how far I can go. Like, how far can I go as an athlete? by taking care of my body and by, following this plant-based diet, and also always improving and learning more about how can I be healthier, and just see how far I can go. What is the limit?
There's no
Wow.
limit.
I have a feeling you'll go pretty far with what you've done already. You both are so impressive, and I'm so delighted that we were able to hear your vegan stories today. Just want to invite anyone who's with us online on our Zoom platform here. If you'd like to ask a question, you're welcome to do that. We have a chat box and the Q&A function as well. And I was able to get some of the questions from our live feed on our Carnivores Anonymous page. For those of you who don't know, we have a Carnivores Anonymous Facebook page, so you can tune in to what we're doing. And we also have a website, carnivoresanonymous.org, where people can learn about the 12 steps and maybe take part in a meeting. We do have these online meetings every month. And that's what you tuned into, an opportunity to hear about that. So, so my name's Lisa Levinson. I'm with In Defense of Animals, and we've got with us today, we've got Josianne and Alex, and they've been sharing their vegan stories. So is there anything else you want to share with us before we tune out today?
I would say that, well, I guess the main takeaway that I would like to leave is that really finding your why. I mentioned that before, for anyone who just joined. Find the reason why it's important for you to make a change in your lifestyle. It could be for so many reasons, and I think as long as it resonates with you and what your heart is telling you, start there, and then everything else you'll discover more and more as you go on that path. But start where you are, start with what makes most sense to you, and then everything else will just unfold.
Oh, that is lovely. And how can people follow you? How can they stay in touch with you? People may have questions they want to ask later.
Sure. You can find us on our Facebook page, Alex Joe Zero Pro. So our community is from zero to pro. And our goal is to see how far we can go as athletes. So again, on Facebook, it's Alex Joe Zero Pro. And then on Instagram, you can find me. My handle is Josianne Larose. And,
lovely. I like the way you say it. It really sounds just very elegant. Oh, wow. Well, gosh, this has been such a pleasure to hear your story and have you share such inspiring tools with us, and also even hearing how your family was very supportive too, because I think that's nice to hear for some people who may be just taking the journey and very concerned about what are my family going to say, and here your family was supportive, and even the community of athletes that you're part of were supportive too. So it's possible to make that change and still keep your family and friends.
definitely.
Yeah. So we're going to stay tuned to you. We're going to check out what you're doing. And I want to wish you the best on your upcoming triathlons. That sounds really exciting. I've always wanted to try something like that. So maybe you'll inspire me too.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Anything's possible.
Yes.
Yes. If I was to do one of those, it would be really anything's possible. But I'm so delighted that you could join us today. And we hope that everyone who's tuned in can tune in again next month when we have another guest. And meanwhile, enjoy your evening, enjoy any athletic events that you're going to. And we hope everyone will also choose compassion and also improve their health by going vegan. So thanks to everyone for tuning in. Have a wonderful evening. And thank you to Josianne and Alex.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.